Darla.
I'm Catherine.
Thank you for joining us for our Healthy Cooking for Seniors on a Budget, brought to you by the Good Shepherd Community Health and Outreach Department and Good Shepherd Foundation.
We are using recipes from Food Heroes website and have provided food to those who are cooking with us today. The 4 recipes that we'll be walking through together are citrus water, peanut butter yogurt dip, pumpkin smoothie in a cup, and veggie omelette in a mug. Recipes that we are working on today are from Food Hero, which we do have a guest speaker who's going to talk about it for a little bit and show us the website, then we'll get started cooking.
Site Food Heroes. You just go to foodhero.org and it'll bring you right to this main page. We typically have a video how to make pancakes is on here, but we have the home screen, which we're on. There's a recipe screen. You can look for recipes by ingredient. There's a whole page about gardening. Each year we do a Grow This challenge where we send out to seeds to participants that enter the challenge, and it starts in early spring. So that's something to look forward to this coming year. And then we also have everything. Most of our documents are also all in Spanish as well. But I wanted to show you guys the older adults page just because it is outlined nicely. We do have a survey going on that you'll see in this first button. It is for a healthy eating survey, and if you put your address linked with your name, which it won't connect it to your answers, we'll send you a free grocery bag as well. But there's different recipes, cooking videos as well. My favorite is actually from my predecessor, is from Angie Treadwell, who used to run the OSU Extension SNAP-ED program here in Umatilla, Morrow County. But it's the Food Hero Cooking Show, and she does that with her daughter. We also have Food Hero Monthlies. This is a magazine that we do. We create a new one each month, but there are some that are designed for this audience. And so here's one on fiber, for example, and it talks about different recipes as well. It talks about the benefits of fiber. It talks about how to store food, and they're really nice. They're easy to print out or see on your computer. And then lastly, we have some kind of fun stuff like brain teasers. There's different word crosses and scrambles and other fun activities, just all related to nutrition and cooking and choosing good, healthy options.
Okay, so first recipe we're going to do today, you have the recipe for cucumber flavored water, but we're going to actually do it with oranges and lemons, whatever you want to add in there. So we're going to make sure that you guys have your oranges and lemons out, a knife, a cutting board. We'll need a pitcher to put the water in, and then that's all we need for this recipe.
Yeah.
So if everybody's ready, we'll go ahead and start. Catherine's going to do the cutting.
So I've made sure that the cutting board and the knife are clean. I have a nice surface. What I'm going to do is probably 1 lemon and 1 orange. So the first step, cleaning them, and I have already rinsed them off. So if you guys are cooking along with us, it's just running them, rubbing them a bit, you can add. I don't know, for this recipe, again, we're using flavored water. If you guys have cucumbers at home, feel free to throw these in. What I'm going to do is I just cut 1 lemon lengthwise, and I'm going to cut it into wedges. When we add water and put it in the beautiful. You want to make sure that our knife is nice and sharp. That way you don't have to use too much of your strength cut through the produce. Grab an orange. I'm going to do the same thing. Yes. So when it comes to knife safety, again, we want to make sure that you have a nice stable platform to be cutting on. This one moves around a bit because this counter is slippery, but if it doesn't move, that's ideal. And usually when we're cutting, we would just want to keep an eye on what we're doing at all times, and ideally keep the knife secure. Move the produce. I haven't been doing that. But if you pick it up and put it down, that's one way to do it. Ideally, is you move the fruit, keep the knife secure. It's going to be nice and flavorful. It's going to be great for summer. The vitamin C in this is going to help us absorb some iron. When you mix vitamin C and iron, it just increases it. If you're doing this at home and you don't want to slice it too thin, totally okay. You can make bigger chunks and just squeeze the juice. It's going to give you a nice display. Okay, so that is all sliced up for us. We have pitcher water, filtered water. We're going to put this in the fridge while we work on the other recipes. So at the end, we'll be able to taste it. Thank you so much.
Does everybody have the peanut butter yogurt dip recipe out? That's the next one we're going to be doing. So that's going to call for the yogurt, the peanut butter, and the cinnamon. So pretty simple, easy ingredients. So we'll have all of these ingredients out. The other thing we're going to need is a 1/2 cup measuring cup, a 1/4 cup measuring cup, and a 3/4 teaspoon. So you might have to just get the 1/4 cup teaspoon, and we'll use that a couple times. We're also going to need a bowl, a mixing bowl to mix the ingredients.
Okay, so the first part, in a small bowl, we're going to mix together the yogurt and peanut butter. So first we're going to start with the yogurt. Everyone should have plain yogurt. Apologize if you're lactose intolerant or if you don't like plain yogurt. You can substitute this with something else if you have it at home. We chose to go with plain yogurt, even though some people might gravitate with something sweeter, just because added sugar is important to our diet. It's just going to give us unnecessary calories, and the American diet already has a lot of added sugar. So with plain yogurt, you're getting the probiotics and you're getting the protein, but it's not going to give side effects. Have honey at home, or if you have brown sugar at home or maple syrup, you can absolutely add that in. Really the way to go about it. That way you can control how much you put in. It looks like we're just mixing in the water that is separated out. So if you're cooking along with us, you have to stir it around a bit just to get it together. And again, so after mixing, we're going to add half a cup non-fat or low-fat plain yogurt. It's going to be a little messy, and it's okay.
A cup out here.
And the next step is we're going to add in our peanut butter. So this recipe is calling for a 1/4 cup peanut butter. Again, everyone should have a jar of peanut butter. This also has low sugar or no added sugar.
Very low sugars, only 3 grams of sugar in this.
So again, we're just trying to look at food labels, and we'll go over that at the end, but trying to make the best decisions that we can with.
So we're going to do a 1/4 cup of peanut butter.
Yeah, so if you need to grab a spoon or a spatula, scoop it out. You can eyeball it if you want something that's got more of a peanut butter flavor. You have to measure it out, but this one again is fine.
Okay, so and add that to the bowl now.
Going to mix that together, and then we're going to add in some cinnamon if you want, or any spices that you might have at home. This recipe is calling for 3/4 teaspoon cinnamon. And if you like cinnamon, or if you don't like it, you can swap it out or add something else instead. Soon we're going to 1/4 teaspoon. Cinnamon is great. It's anti-inflammatory. It's going to add some flavor. Give this recipe a little bit more dimension. Really good. It's coming together pretty easy. And this is saying that we can serve it with slices of fruit or vegetables. We were talking about this earlier, maybe making this as a breakfast, maybe on the side with granola, or if you usually have cold cereal, you can have that on top of it. Crackers, maybe putting this on some crackers instead. But again, trying to increase our produce, fresh fruits and vegetables. A nice little snack. So we're going to throw this in the fridge, and we'll try it at the end. That's it, nice and simple. This recipe does mention that if you have a peanut butter allergy, if you just don't like peanut butter, you can substitute a different nut butter. So we can use sunflower seed butter, or you can try cashew butter. There's so many different alternatives out there, and they might be a little bit pricier. Peanut butter is pretty affordable considering what you're. But again, if you want to try something, just switch it out.
Okay, so our next recipe is going to be veggie omelet in a mug. Me and Catherine are actually both going to experiment with our own omelets, as she likes different things than I do. So you can add avocado, tomato, cilantro, spinach, mushrooms. So be experimental on what you want to add. I think we've provided quite a few bits of produce in there. So.
We did.
Okay. So again, if you need to wash your hands at this point from the last recipe, go ahead. And we are going to need So we didn't do whole eggs just so they didn't get broken. So we did the egg white, the liquid eggs.
Yep. And these are whole eggs, so there's yolks and whites mixed into it.
So on the back of the container, it tells you, so this recipe is calling for 2 eggs. So that would be 1/3 of a cup of eggs. So it's back here on the back side, it kind of breaks it down what we'll need there. So 1/3 of a cup of eggs. Oh yeah. And then I can pass it to you?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And again, if you guys just want to if you're making this at home now or later, you can eyeball it. If you want to add more eggs or less eggs, it's up to you. We're going to call for 2 eggs, and if you have milk at home and you want to add that, that's fine. Add milk, because it's just easier without it, but if you have milk and you want to add that to your recipe.
We also have salt and pepper here. If you want to add any salt and pepper in with your eggs, try and keep it low on the sodium.
If you guys have any herbs, spices that you have at home. If I'm cooking at home, I like to add black pepper and turmeric because that's anti-inflammatory and it's just a quick, easy. Really into any recipe. If you have dill or thyme, or if you like something spicy like chili powder or peppers, we're going to do that together. I'm going to add some pepper because I personally love pepper.
So we got all our veggies out here. Now pick and choose what you want to put in there.
So we did provide baby spinach, cilantro, mushrooms, and an avocado. So depending on what you're going to add, most of this can be microwaved. If you're adding avocado, do not put that in before the microwave. We're going to add that at the end. Avocado. I'm going to start with spinach, tomato, and mushroom. What are you going to do?
I'm going to do cilantro, mushroom, and spinach.
So whatever you are in the mood for, grab those ingredients. We're going to throw them into our mug. I'm probably going to chop up some of the spinach just so it's easier. This is already washed and ready to go. Again, we're trying to increase our produce intake throughout the day. These are quick, easy recipes that you can do. It doesn't require a lot of time. It doesn't require a lot of standing. These were all affordable options. We got them from Walmart. Nothing too out of the realm. I think you could find most or all of these ingredients wherever you are. And I did wash the tomatoes ahead of time, so if you guys are going to use the tomato at home, I would just recommend rinsing it and washing it. And again, just being careful when you're cutting. What's nice about this recipe is that it's modifiable and it's personal. If you're just cooking for yourself, you can do this. If you're cooking for a bunch of people, you could do multiple mugs and kind of have a nice little smorgasbord of that people can add on their own. It could be great even for, I know this is for older adults, but even for kids, showing them that they can cook this, or if they're in college and they only have a microwave in their dorm, this would be an easy. Usually when I'm cooking at home, I also add garlic to everything because it has such a nice flavor and it's chop up some mushrooms. And then the next step the recipe is saying that we're going to microwave it on high for 45 seconds. Thing is, everyone's microwave has a different hour setting, or it has like, it can be stronger or weaker. So I'm going to recommend that we do maybe every 10 or 15 seconds, pull it out, stir it around, and see how it looks. Because I think it's, we can always cook more, but we can't we can't go back in time and cook it less. And overcooked eggs aren't, unless that's what you like. I've added my 3 ingredients. I'm going to spoon. And this looks pretty good. If you've added a lot of vegetables and you want to add more of the egg mixture so that it's completely covered, go for it. Yeah. Has anyone ever tried cooking eggs in a mug before? I'm curious.
I know I haven't. It's kind of fun.
This will be a first for me, yeah. Until we're all done, and then we'll take it to our microwave.
How are they looking, Catherine?
They are coming together. This microwave is a lot less powerful than the one in our office, so it's taking a little time. But I just put it on for a minute because it was just starting to get hot. We definitely want to make sure that we're cooking this through. And even after we take it out, the cup is still going to be hot. So it's still going to cook a little bit of time. And we're just going to set it to the side while we do our last recipe so that we don't burn our mouths. But when you take it out of the oven, it says it in this recipe, you want the omelet to still look a little bit wet on top, and it'll dry as it cools, because again, it's still technically cooking in. Looking really good. I'm going to set this aside though. We're going to add some avocado in a little bit and see how it tastes. Let me stir this around. How that looks. So it's not sticking to the mug, it's not a rock, but you definitely want to break it up and let it cool. And if you added spices, definitely mixing it while it's a little harder so that that can get distributed throughout. Again, we can just mix it and set it to the side. If you want, you can add a little bit of olive oil to this. You can add, I don't know if you guys have any like chopped meats at home or if you want to sprinkle some on top. This recipe is for a veggie omelet, but if you want to add anything to it.
So for our last recipe is going to be pumpkin smoothie in a cup. We're going to need our yogurt back out. So we're going to grab that out of the fridge.
Yeah, so we're going to need the same yogurt. We're going to be using canned pumpkin that everyone should have received. This recipe calls for brown sugar. We specifically did not give anyone sugar, but if you want to add in, again, just trying to cut down on added sugar. If you want to add honey, maple syrup, brown or white sugar, that's up to you. Cinnamon, and then nutmeg, which we just didn't grab. But if you have allspice or nutmeg,
we're going to need the 2/3 cup measuring cup for the yogurt. Go ahead and get that out. I had to wash some of mine up to reuse them for the next recipe, so.
we're going to add 2/3 cup low-fat yogurt, or about 6 ounces. So if you have individual yogurt cups at home, some of them are about 4 to 6 ounces. You can measure it out and then add it to our mixing bowl. This recipe says you could put it in a blender. We decided to just try it in a bowl because it might be easier if you don't have to pull out a blender and clean that after.
Go ahead and open up our can of pumpkin. We're going to be needing a 1/4 cup of the pumpkin puree. So back to the recipe, we're going to go ahead and use a 1/4 cup of the canned pumpkin.
Yeah, that is so nice and smooth. Oh my gosh. And again, this doesn't have no sodium. If you look at the new, there's few serving sizes in this can. So if you're just following this recipe, you can make it several times.
Very nice.
And then the last part for this recipe that we're using is the cinnamon, and they're calling for a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. I personally love adding cloves to everything. They're very flavorful. Then once we've got all that in, we're going to mix it together. Relatively easy.
Yeah.
May I have put in another tip?
Yeah, please.
So with that canned pumpkin as well, since the the fall's coming right around the corner, chili is a really another easy way to use that leftover pumpkin. You can add it to a chili recipe or a pre-made chili even, and it tastes delicious. People never think of pumpkin and chili, but it's really good as well. Or maybe Jackie doesn't think so, but you don't even taste it. It just makes it nice and creamy.
Oh, very good. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good tip because it's less flavorful than, say, something like sweet potatoes or yams. So if you're adding...
And there is a Food Hero recipe on pumpkin chili as well.
Might be our next
recipe, yeah. How's it coming together for you?
It's coming together pretty good. There's a few little chunks of the yogurt, just trying to break that up. But overall, it looks really good. It smells really good too.
It does. And the recipe says that you can just drink it like this if you have a spoon, straw. It's saying that you can put cut fruit on it or eat it with cut fruit, or if you have graham crackers, if you want to, or again, granola. If you really like peanut butter, if you want to try adding peanut butter into this recipe, it does look like a good consistency now. If you want it to be thinner, you have soy milk or milk at home if you want to, or even crushed ice.
Yes, we appreciate you showing up for this event. Pretty fun for us to do these events with you, and hopefully you join up for the next event.
Thank you so much. If you guys do have questions, you can email us. Darla's card is in here, or just call our department, and we're happy to go over anything you did not hear in this presentation.